Okay, we are wrapping up this chapter. This is the second to last video. Basically, that war where the Seminoles were resisting and were striking in surprise, basically, and using guerrilla tactics, that went on for years. The adaptation of the Seminole to his environment was to be matched only by the crane or the alligator. It was an 8-year war. It cost 20 million and 1,500 American lives. Finally, in the 1840s, the Seminoles began to get tired. They were a tiny group against a huge nation with great resources. They asked for truces, but when they went forward under truce flags, they were arrested again and again. And in 1837, Osceola, under a flag of truce, had been seized and put in irons, then died of illness in prison. The war petered out. The government began to play the Cherokee against Cherokee, the old game. In 1834, 700 Cherokees, weary of the struggle, agreed to go west. 81 died en route, including 45 children, mostly from measles and cholera. Those who lived arrived at their destination across the Mississippi in the midst of a cholera epidemic, and half of them died within a year. There's only one more page. The Cherokees were summoned to sign the removal treaty in New Echota, Georgia, in 1836, but fewer than 500 of the 17,000 Cherokees appeared. The treaty was signed anyway. The Senate, including Northerners who had once spoken for the Indian, ratified it, yielding, as Senator Edward Everett of Massachusetts said, to the force of circumstances, the hard necessity. Now the Georgia whites stepped up their attacks to speed up the removal. Some Cherokees had apparently given up on nonviolence. 3 chiefs who signed the removal treaty were found dead, but the 17,000 Cherokees were soon rounded up and crowded into stockades. On October 1st, 1838, the first detachment set out in what was known as the Trail of Tears. As they moved westward, they began to die of sickness, of drought, of the heat, of exposure. There were 645 wagons and people marching alongside. Survivors years later told of halting at the edge of the Mississippi in the middle of the winter, the river running full of ice, hundreds of sick and dying penned up in wagons or stretched upon the ground. Grant Fortman, the leading authority on Indian removal, estimates that during confinement in the stockade or on the march westward, 4,000 Cherokees died. President Van Buren spoke to Congress. It affords sincere pleasure to apprise the Congress of the entire removal of the Cherokee Nation of Indians to their new homes west of the Mississippi. The measures authorized by Congress have had the happiest effects. You know, this is why when these white patriots talk about go back to your country, it is such a projection, because what the fuck are you doing here, actually? As a matter of fact, why the fuck are you still here? The audacity. This chapter was devastating, and it continues to be devastating because Indigenous people in North America are still treated like shit. Yeah, man, the more I read, the more I realize nothing has changed. If you want to buy me a coffee, here is my Venmo and my Cash App. And to tie this all with a bow, and to emphasize that women really are elite, I just filmed that entire series with like level 8 cramps, and I ran out of Advil. So now that I'm done filming, I'm going to go and get some Advil, and I'm going to be in the fetal position for at least an hour. So yeah, anything they can do, we can do better. We keep it moving, even when we are in excruciating pain. Thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.